Hello everyone, today is April 14th, 2017. This is the task list website project demonstration for IT6203 Design Studio instructed by Professor Lee. This project was developed by Group 4. The members include Cole Shiflett, Brian Russell, Wale Onafaokan, Travis Brown, and myself, Adnan Iqbal. I will be presenting the project on behalf of our team, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first screen we can see here is our login page and our home page. And one thing to note is our side menu. This is common across all of our web pages, and it's dynamic based on whether or not the user is logged in or not. We'll demonstrate that in a few moments. Also, we have two areas to register, so on the side menu as well as right underneath login. If we go to search providers, this is our Ajax-based search, so we won't see any information or any services provided until we add a user who can offer those services. So I'll also demonstrate that as we move forward. So let's go ahead and register. So let's add a user. We'll go with Luke 2000. Password. We have the option to reveal the password text. Say Luke Jedi. Email yahoo.com. Luke can offer computer repair, and he is available on the weekends. Would you like to receive an email confirmation of this registration? Yes. So we will submit that. So registration was successful. We can see the information that was entered for this user here, and the data was added to our database. So now if we go to search providers, at this moment we are still not logged in. So as being unauthenticated, we'll be presented with a read-only grid here, and we don't have the ability to request services until we are logged in. So we can see that the service was added here with our Ajax search. So that looks good. So now let's log in. So Luke 2000. Just go ahead and show some validations here. So if I enter the wrong password, our LDAP authentication will throw an error. So right there, so this user is not in our OpenDJ control panel. If I make one up and enter that, same error will appear. So now let's go ahead and add the correct information. Password is password. We've successfully logged in, and now we can see our dynamic menu has updated its options. So now we have My Profile as well as Task Manager. So if we go to My Profile, all of our information for the user has been pre-populated here, and they have the ability to edit and save the changes. So let's say we want to edit our email. Say we wanted to go to Hotmail instead, and let's say we want to add another service. We can say printer setup, and yep, if you would like to receive an email confirmation of the update, you have that option. So we'll go ahead and say yes and update profile. Alrighty, so looks good. This is the information we entered. And if we go back to My Profile, we're still authenticated. We can see the update. So email was updated to Hotmail, and an additional service, printer setup, was added. So everything looks good there. Currently, we don't have any tasks assigned to us, so we can demonstrate that here in a few moments. Let's go ahead and go over some validations at this point. So if we log out, so on our login page we have some client-side, server-side validations. We can go ahead and show that. So if I enter some invalid characters here for the ID and enter a password, hit login, this username contains invalid characters. There's one. Also, if we go to our registration page, and let's say we enter a net ID that already exists within our database. So if I was to enter Luke as before, Luke 2000 already exists. Select another ID or log in with your username and password. So we can go ahead and update that. So we'll say Yoda. Password. If I try submitting this, these are all required fields. So password, first name, if I enter some invalid characters here, same with last name. Email, if I enter a malformed or incorrectly formatted email. So say I don't add the domain. Our services and availability is also required. So we'll see services and availability are both required, at least one selection is required. So we'll select one there and one there. So if I submit the registration, we'll receive a server-side validation. So first name had invalid characters as well as last name, and then the email address was not correctly formatted. So we left out the domain, which is why it's saying it's malformed. So we can click here to return, and the information was retained, other than with the exception of password. So we can go ahead and correct that. Master at task.com. If we try progressing without a password, also validation there. Alrighty, we'll go ahead and submit this. We'll update the services to let's say Java. Alrighty, the information was successfully added. Now we can return to the home page. We'll log in with Yoda. And what we'll go ahead and do is we'll test the request services functionality. So if we go to search providers and select a service from our Ajax search, let's request something. Let's request some printer setup from Luke. So we see that Luke offers printer setup, so we can click on request help since we are logged in. We have task description and task deadline. So if I try, these are required fields, so if I try submitting or creating this request without entering anything, we'll receive a client-side validation right there. So we'll enter a task. me with your printer skills. If you try submitting that, it'll ask for a deadline, so we can just go back. This is a calendar input. It cannot be a date in the past, and we have a jQuery restriction where it cannot be a date greater than 90 days in the future. So it goes all the way up till June 13th. So we'll go with May 10th and create the service request. So task was created successfully, and Luke has been notified. So we'll go log in with Luke and take a look at his available tasks. So we'll log out, log in with Luke. Go to our task manager, and looks like the task was received appropriately, and we have the requester was Yoda, and the task description is here as well as the deadline. So if we go to edit, we have the option here to update the status to either open or closed, and then we have the option to assign this to someone else. So right now we only have Luke, which would be sending it. We don't want to send it back to Luke because he requested the service. So this is a filtered assignee dropdown. So any users who have the printer setup skill would appear under the assignee dropdown. So if I try updating without doing anything, we'll get a client-side validation there. And let's go ahead and set the status to closed. So update, go back to tasks. It's no longer available. So if we log out, so now we will test the functionality for reassigning tasks or services to other users. So we'll test that by logging in with Luke. We'll search for a provider. Let's say I need some help with networking. So it looks like we have Donald Duck and Bugs Bunny who offer networking services. We'll request some help from Donald Duck. We'll enter a task description. Enter a deadline. We'll submit the request. So now we'll log in with Donald Duck and check his tasks. Just to make sure, this is Donald Duck's profile. Go to our task manager. Looks like the request was received. Now we'll test the reassigning of this task to another assignee. So we can assign it to Bugs Bunny since he also provides networking services. We'll update the task. Task was successfully transferred. So we can also check the email functionality here for the notification. So let me pull that up. We'll go to mail output. Check the last email. So a new request was assigned to Bugs Bunny. And before that, we had assigned a request for Donald Duck. So that all looks good. So we will log in with Bugs Bunny. And we will go to Task Manager. And it looks like we did receive the request, the reassign request. So now we are able to resolve Luke's request for networking services. We can go ahead and set that status to closed, update the task, and we are finished. So that concludes Group 4's project presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to help answer those questions. Thanks for watching.